The Hill's legal and courts reporter Zach Schoenfeld joins us back this morning to talk about something completely different.
Yes. Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
She is pleading with the Supreme Court now to overturn her sex trafficking conviction. What's the argument that her legal team is making here?
This all comes down to a non-prosecution agreement that Jeffrey Epstein had signed with federal prosecutors in Florida back in 2007 and 2008. And that deal, which some people have criticized as a sweetheart deal, basically allowed him at the time to avoid federal charges in exchange for pleading guilty to state charges in Florida. He also agreed to serve a prison sentence. But Ghislaine Maxwell, she wasn't a party to that non-prosecution agreement, but that agreement notably also covered co-conspirators. Now, the key question here is, where does that apply geographically? The Justice Department has argued that that only applies in Florida because it was the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida who signed that paperwork. And so they said when they prosecuted Maxwell years later in New York that that's not covered and that's allowed. But Maxwell is now telling the Supreme Court they need to overturn her conviction because she says it was barred by that non-prosecution agreement.
What's the over-under on this? How do you see it?
Well, this is the stage of the case where the Supreme Court really flexes its power because they get thousands of requests to take up cases a year, and they only grant about 1% or 2% of them. So this is really the whole ball game here. So just statistically speaking, you'd think that it's not going to get taken up because you really do have to get lucky to get your case taken up by the Supreme Court. So obviously, this one's getting a lot of attention. They get a lot of requests of cases that not everyday Americans have ever heard of. So maybe they will perhaps take a little bit of a closer look at this one, but still just the numbers speak for themselves that more likely than not, it will not be taken up.
So let's drill down on the legal argument here. Maxwell's attorney, David Marcus, said rather than grapple with the core principle of plea agreements, the government tries to distract by reciting a lurid and irrelevant account of Jeffrey Epstein's misconduct. But this case is about what the government promised, not what Epstein did. Put a finer point on that. What's sort of at the core of his argument, why he feels like the court should intervene here?
Well, the argument from Maxwell's attorney is that this argument doesn't have anything to do with her culpability, what actual conduct she committed. It's all about that promise that the federal prosecutors in Florida gave to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2007 and 2008. And so they really, as you went through the quote there, they kind of attacked the Justice Department brief that at length went through the crimes that Jeffrey Epstein has committed and Maxwell's role as an accomplice to that. But Marcus is saying that doesn't matter because it all comes down to this agreement and that promise.
What's the most interesting thing about this to you?
The most interesting thing is the relationship here between Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, and the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche has been the one who's really been taking the lead at DOJ on this case. He was the one who sat down with Maxwell last week for those 2 days of interviews. It's interesting to me because Maxwell's attorney and Blanche have a relationship. They've been friends. Blanche has publicly said that Marcus is a friend, and he's someone, Todd Blanche, before joining the Justice Department, was one of Donald Trump's personal attorneys. And in order to take on Trump as a client, Blanche at the time had to leave his law firm, and he felt pretty slighted by a lot of the criminal defense bar, with many of them going on TV and egging on that hush money prosecution in New York. But Marcus was someone who didn't do that. He was actually at times defending Todd Blanche. So going into all of these talks and that interview last week, it's Marcus and Blanche. We know that the two of them have a lot of respect for each other. So certainly is a key thing to watch as this progresses.
Will that at all play into any sort of decision that the Supreme Court makes, even if they have an issue of maybe what they see as conflict of interest? Will it matter to them?
I don't think it'll matter too much. And to be clear, I'm not trying to suggest that their friendship, there's anything inherently wrong with that. Because also, at the end of the day, the Justice Department and Maxwell are on opposite sides here. The Trump administration, both in its first term and now in its second term, has been saying that this non-prosecution agreement does not bar Maxwell's criminal conviction. So the Justice Department, actually, at the Supreme Court right now, is telling the justices to turn away this case and let her conviction stand.
And in the meantime, also questioning Ghislaine Maxwell about the Epstein files.
Yes, that's right.
There's a lot going on here.
A lot. Many different layers. Thanks so much, Zach. You can find all of Zach's reporting on thehill.com. It's good. And check out his newsletter, The Gavel. It comes out every Wednesday morning.
We appreciate it, Zach. We'll see you next time.